Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and today I'm going to do a manga tag video. Now there's a lot of manga tag videos going around right now, but I was tagged a couple of weeks ago by Lotus to do this. So this one's been around for a little while, still a pretty new one. It was created by Loof Dragon, so I will be linking up both of their channels and their tag videos in the box below. You should definitely go and check out both of them, and you should go and subscribe to their channels if you haven't already. Thank you so much, Lotus, for tagging me in this video. I really appreciate it. I haven't done a tag video in a little while, but you know, it's always nice to be included in the community, so just happy to play along, I guess. Anyway, I should probably just get to the questions. So the first question is, what are you reading right now? I am currently working on reading Video Girl Ai by Masakazu Katsura. I am currently on volume 14. There's only 15 volumes in this series. It's a really great series and I highly recommend it, and I think it's probably a little bit harder to find right now, but if you have an opportunity to pick it up, I definitely would recommend it. It is a shounen romance series about a boy who kind of has a broken heart, and he ends up being gifted with a video rental girl, and so he borrows a videotape from a mysterious store, and a girl pops out, and basically her job is to bring him happiness, and they have a bunch of adventures, and basically it's it's a romance featuring another classmate in his school that he's really in love with, and kind of how he gets over her and kind of moves on. There are a number of romances in this. You know, he does fall in love with different people at different times, and it it never really feels forced. So it's a really well written story. Plus it has kind of weird fantasy elements in it, which is kind of strange and fun and very like 1990s. There's a lot of fan service in it, and definitely if you're not a fan service fan, this might not be your favorite thing, but I was actually showing pictures of this to my sister, and we were both marveling at how well rendered the fan service was. Like, even though it was so prevalent, there's so many upskirt shots and unclothed shots and whatever, they're so beautifully drawn, and Masakazu Katsura really knows what he's doing when he's drawing girls. So really great story, really beautiful art, really enjoying this series. Volume 14 is actually kind of a second story, so volume 13 actually ends the primary part of the story, and then volume 14, 15 are a sort of a secondary character, I believe, that gets their own story. I haven't read 14, 15 in many years, and I'd never read kind of the first bit of the story before, so I'm really looking forward to keeping on reading this, but at the moment, highly recommend it. It's a pretty high rated read for me currently. Question number 2 is, what is your guilty pleasure manga? I think a lot of people are answering this the same way. If I felt guilty about reading manga, I wouldn't have a channel. I wouldn't be making this video. There are no manga that I feel guilty about reading, and certainly everybody who knows me knows that I am, a manga reader, a manga collector, and a manga obsessed nerd. So yeah, there is no such thing as me feeling guilty about reading manga, but definitely a series that I think is not very good and I don't recommend, but I enjoy, is Venus in Love by Yuki Nakaji. This is a shoujo romance series. It is about a girl who is going to college for the first time and immediately falls in love with a classmate who happens to be in love with someone else, so there's a little bit of a love triangle. But then she also meets another character who also is in love with this classmate, and they kind of form a friendship. It's just a really cute, sweet kind of character dynamic, but the story itself is just really kind of pathetic, I guess. Yeah, so I really like the characters, but I don't really like the story, and I think it's just there's so much fluff, and there is really terrible transitions between scenes, and there's really kind of like, there feel like unfinished scenes, and I don't know if it's partly because of the translation or if it was just originally written this way, but It feels very awkward and stinted when you read it, but at the same time it's so light and it's so superficial that when you just are feeling kind of like, this is usually something that I would pick up when I'm feeling bad, or I feel sick and I don't really want to read anything. It just doesn't take a lot of effort to read, and it's just like fluff. So I would probably say that this is a guilty pleasure manga. Number 13 is, have you ever cried reading a manga? And yes, I have. And do you remember which volume? And yes, I do. The last volume I cried reading was volume 13 of Video Girl I, which I read yesterday. You know, it was a kind of sad, heartwarming bit, so it kind of warranted crying over, but yeah, I cry reading manga. It doesn't really matter what kind of manga it is, as long as I have any feelings whatsoever. Probably tears will happen. Number 4 is name a manga that you like in a genre you don't normally read. So I have picked Mr. Flower Groom and Mr. Flower Bride. This is a yaoi series by Lili Hoshino. I don't read a lot of yaoi. You know, I read some. I don't have any real problems with it. It's not my favorite genre. But this one I kind of like, and I do pick it up from time to time. Basically what this is about is a prestigious family who basically they arrange the marriages of their children to, you know, to keep the family line, you know, whatever, in order. And basically if the oldest child or the oldest son has a son, then they know that the family is probably going to get passed down to that son, and so any subsequent children, instead of being allowed to marry women, are arranged to be married to other men in smaller clans as part of the family. And so this is about a number of different members of the family who are being arranged to marry different boys that are also part of the family. So it's kind of cute, but what I really like about it is actually I really like her art. There's just something about the way that she draws her characters that I really like. Everything is very, you know, shiny and sparkly, and I just really, really like that. Her characters are generally cute, and this one is a little bit longer for yaoi. Most yaoi kind of tend to one single volume, so this one, yeah, I kind of like this one. Number 5 is to choose between seinen, shoujo, and shounen. So there's 3 demographics to choose from. I also would include josei and less so koromomuke, because we just have like next to no publishing in that area, but you know, there's an extra demographic that should be included in this question. So basically I would say that I probably gravitate to publishing that is more geared towards me. I probably appreciate adult comics more than I would appreciate teen comics, but that isn't to say that I don't read anything, and I don't read, you know, and I read tons of everything. So it's really hard for me to actually choose. I probably would say seinen, just because of the volume of publishing, you know, compared to josei. There really isn't a comparison, you know. Seinen has been here since the beginning of manga in North America, and josei is just barely trickles in, so there just isn't a comparison between your choice in what you can actually read. Some of my favorite series are josei, some of my favorite series are seinen, and I have favorite series in shoujo and shounen. Like, it's really hard for me to compare. I'm willing to pick up pretty much anything. I'm really willing to put pretty much anything in my collection, so I don't really have a favorite genre. I will read all of it. The next question is your favorite manga world and why. And you know, I thought about choosing kind of more of a fantastical world like Dragon Ball, or one of the worlds that Clamp creates, because I really like both of those places. You know, and there's other worlds, of course, that I really like. But I decided to choose something that's close to reality, but also is just so surreal and so random and just so fantastic. I just love this world. It's probably one of the stupidest worlds ever, and I just think that it's hilarious. Basically, this is a comedy shounen series about a class of thugs. You know, it's the tough class, but you know, they're anything but normal. They're anything but, you know, they're stereotypical. This is a class that, you know, is composed of a robot, a gorilla, a Mexican fighter, you know, a bunch of various different types of people. It's incredibly quirky. It's really, really super duper random, and it's just so much excellent, awesome hilariousness. So definitely I love this world, and yeah, it's probably one of my favorite worlds. Now, number 7 is a question that I don't really like to answer because I don't really know what the answer is. I'm gonna have to get, you know, somebody to come over, go through my collection, and let me know what you think the answer is to this, because my collection is just too large to know what this is anymore. So the question is, what is your most underrated manga that you own? And, you know, I collect a lot of out-of-print titles. I have a huge collection, obviously, and I don't know. So what I did is I went on Goodreads and I went to titles that I've read and rated 5 stars, and then looked for the one that had the least amount of reviews. And so that ended up being Cipher by Minako Narita. This is a manga that was drawn in the 80s. This manga is from 1984, and it actually features a series. It actually features characters who are Americans and they actually live in New York, so it's very unusual in that way. Basically, it is a story about 3 characters. There's you know, the girl and the guy who you can see here on the cover, and so it's a romance between these 2 characters that slowly kind of progresses through the story. But also it is a story about this boy and his twin, and it kind of takes a lot of cues from the Cain and Abel story from the Bible, so if you're familiar with that, you will be kind of familiar with how this story also progresses. It's sort of a story about how one brother wrongs the other brother and kind of coming to terms with that, and, you know, finding redemption and you know, resolving that relationship. It's a really good drama, it's a really sweet romance, and it's a series that I really, really love and I read quite frequently. And yeah, definitely, if you ever have a chance, if you ever see it, I would highly recommend it. It is a little bit of a short series. I think it's like 10 or 11 volumes. I can't remember off the top of my head. It is published by CMX though, so it is out of print, a little bit hard to find. There is also a sequel to this. I can't remember what it's called. I don't think it's called Cipher 2, but it is a sequel to this. I don't recommend the sequel, but definitely Cipher. Amazing story. Really, really, really good. The next question is, name a series that you don't own but would really like to have in your collection. I'm just going to go with titles that are actually published in English, and the one that I really am most keen on collecting is the color version of Akira. So the very first edition of Akira actually came over in color, and it was done so that North American audiences would be more receptive to reading this thing that was coming from Japan. And it's something that I don't have. I don't have it in black and white. I don't have it, you know, in many of its different incarnations. I don't have Akira, and it absolutely needs to be in my collection. But what I want the most is that first bound graphic novel publication of Akira in color. So that's probably like the thing that I want, but it's so hard to find. It's impossible to find for a decent price if you do find them, and as you probably know if you've been watching my channel, I'm not willing to spend more than cover price on most volumes. That might be one thing that I would actually be willing to pay a little bit more to own, but just a very little. Yeah. Number 9 is, do you have a favorite spine aesthetic? Yes. I would probably say that there's quite a few titles in my collection that I really, really enjoy the spines on. You know, some of the hardcover editions have really, really beautifully planned spines, and there's a couple that I just really like to just look at because they're on my shelf. One of them is the Japanese edition of Hikaru no Go. You can see that the spines alternate between black and white. I know that Dead Man Wonderland does this as well. I'm not entirely sure because I've never read Dead Man Wonderland, so I don't know, you know, if it relates to the story at all, but for Hikaru no Go, if you've read it, you know that this is this sports manga, about the game of Go. And the game of Go is a board game where you have black and white stones, and so you play on, it's kind of like a battle strategy board game. So basically this manga just really highlights the content just by the cover design alone, which I think is just really ingenious, but also really attractive, and it's, you know, a fairly long series, so it looks quite nice on my shelves. Another actual single volume that I think is a really attractive spine is this one here. It is more of like a wraparound. This is Go-Go Monster by Taiyo Matsumoto, but even a little bit more than the spine, which you can see is, you know, it's quite a nice surreal color image, is actually the pages, and so you can see that there actually is printing on the pages. It's not just colored, but there's actually design right on the pages themselves, so that's just a really nice touch. This is a Viz publication from their signature collection. Definitely you should check out this title if you have an opportunity. So the last question is, what is a series that you own that you are most looking forward to reading? There are so many in my collection, like I can't even begin to tell you how many I haven't read in my collection. Most of them are my sister's, thank goodness, but yeah, there's just so many that I want to read, and I definitely want to read everything in my collection. And every time I, you know, read a synopsis or flip through a manga, I'm always like, oh, I want to read this next. You know, I'm excited about reading manga. I love manga, and you know, I just don't have enough time to read it as fast as I would like. But one series that is new to me this year, and I have mentioned it before, that I really want to read is Queen Emeraldis by Leiji Matsumoto. I also have his series Galaxy Express 999, which I really also want to read, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet, and this is something that absolutely 100% has to happen in 2017, so it will be happening sometime during the year. And, you know, I have heard from my sister and I have heard from Whimsical Pictures, both of who have said that this was a fantastic manga, and, you know, from those two recommendations alone, I know that this is going to be a fantastic manga, so I am really, really looking forward to reading this. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I think this might be have to be a mood read, so I'm waiting a little bit, but at the same time, really, really looking forward to reading this title. So now to tag a couple of people. Obviously I'm going to tag my sister at Shelf Space Fleeting. If you want to go and follow her there, you should do that. We are going to be doing some collection videos in the year. She may not know this yet, but that's going to happen, and some of those videos will be posted to her channel, so if you want to see those, you might as well subscribe to her now. Also, I am tagging Whimsical Pictures, who I've mentioned before. You know, anytime that I watch Whimsical Pictures videos, I always learn something, which is fantastic, because that's the thing that I like the most when I do anything, is to learn something. So I really, really appreciate her videos. You should also go and check out her stuff. And the last person that I am tagging is Charmy Sketches, also a newish YouTuber. And she does a lot of like journal-y sketchbook stuff, and if you are into that, you should definitely go and check out her stuff. She also has, you know, sort of some older taste in manga, which is just really refreshing to see, and I really am looking forward to seeing more videos from her. So, so the three of you are tagged. If you want to do this, please feel free. If not, you know, you won't hurt my feelings. I don't, you know, it's up to you. If I didn't tag you in this video and you want to do this video and you haven't been tagged by someone else, please feel free. Count yourself tagged by me. I would be happy to see your video. Just definitely let me know if you do it, and I will definitely check it out. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Thanks, Lotus, for tagging me in this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye for now.